Hey guys, it's Mark Ochoa, and this is my presentation on the 7 elements of design. First element is space, and there are 3 different types of space. First one is 3D space, which is made up of height, width, and depth, or XYZ. And these things make up the world we live in, the three-dimensional world. So, I can move this way, and this way. And that's what makes up 3D. But in illustration, artists always have to kind of like trick the viewer into believing 3D space because it's a two-dimensional plane, like a screen or a piece of paper. It's not actually 3D. So one way to do this is with value, different varying shades of black, white, and gray. Like you can see in the left picture there, it looks like you're looking into a pit, but really it's just different values of gray and black and white. And in the right photo, you see the use of vanishing points to trick the eye into believing that that's 3D space. If you took away the vanishing points, it'd really just be oddly shaped, colored polygons. The next type of space is positive and negative space, and they share the same 2D or 3D plane. And positive space is where something exists or where something is, and negative space is where something is not. And really, you can't have negative space without positive space. Or is that the other way around? But both are equally important, and their relationship must be considered. And you kind of need both. Like they need to be balanced well, um, because negative space is very important. Because you can't have all positive space, because then everything would be way too cluttered, and you wouldn't know what's going on. But I really like this example because if you look at the black right there in that picture, it looks like a vase. But if you look at the negative space, you see two faces facing towards one another. And that's a really good example of positive and negative space. And the last type of space is white space, which is the space between objects in a composition. And the different levels of space kind of evoke different emotions and feelings. So like things that are like way too close together, that evokes like the feeling of like claustrophobia or like being cramped because there's not enough space there. You're standing in a classroom or something like that in an elevator and there's too many people, you're going to feel claustrophobic. There's not enough space. But if there's too much space, it makes it feel kind of makes things feel kind of distant and too far away and like disconnected. So how much space is in between your objects and your design is really important as well. The next design feature is lines. And lines are important because, well, first let me tell you what they are. They're continuous marks on the surface made by moving points or connecting 2 points on a illustration or photo or something like that. And they're used to define edges and create objects. And there are different types of lines. There are horizontal, vertical, diagonal, wavy, zigzag, thick, and thin. And all of these lines portray different emotions, meanings. Like a horizontal line um, that'll make you think of like something sitting still because if it's like on a flat surface, nothing's moving, it's staying where it is. Vertical, that can either make you think of like stability, like a tree or a building, or also when you see a vertical line, you could think of gravity. Diagonal lines oftentimes indicate movement, like if it's a diagonal line going from left to right, upwards, that's like a climbing motion, and the other way is downwards. And zigzag lines can kind of make you feel uneasy because they're sharp edges, so it might be like a little, ooh, a little scary right there. Might prick your finger. Um, and also, lines can be found in photos and illustrations where there aren't actually any lines. At least no, like, drawn lines like you would see over on the left side there. But, like objects and photos, like these buildings, and that's I can't, I took that in New York, but I can't remember where exactly, what building that is. I should know, but anyways, you can see the lines, like the tall building leading straight down to that book in the wings there, and the 2 other buildings also leading that. So it really brings your eye to that one focal point, and that's an example of lines in photos um, leading your eye. And the next one is shape and form. And shape is the contour of any flat object, and shapes make up most of everything we see, even if it doesn't like seem like a normal shape. Even complicated shapes are made up of simpler shapes, just all stuck together. And there are two types of shapes: inorganic and organic. Inorganic shapes are like shapes you wouldn't find in nature, like squares, circles, triangles, like those perfect shapes. You definitely wouldn't find those in nature. Um, and organic shapes are things you would find in nature, like a leaf, bird, tree, cloud, things of that nature. The next one is size and scale. And size can be used when you're talking about like sizing documents or paper, things like that. You can talk about in pixels or in point scale. But size also refers to the relative size or scale of objects in their surroundings and how they can influence how like you read things. Like if you look at the dog right there, the first photo on the left side, it just looks like a regular ball, right? So it's like a normal dog next to a normal ball. But on the right side, you see a dog next to a giant ball. Or maybe that's a really tiny dog next to a normal sized ball. I'm not really sure. The next one is color. And color can draw attention, order, and organize, and evoke emotion. Um, and the three main colors are primary colors, which are yellow, red, and blue. And you use those colors to make every other color, but those colors cannot be made by any other colors. And once you mix those three colors, you get orange, purple, and green, which are the secondary colors. And then you do combinations of those six to make all the tertiary colors. Um, and colors can be modified by tinting, which is adding white, toning, which is adding gray, and shading, which is adding black. So you not only have all of the possible colors you can make mixing the secondary, primary colors and the tertiary colors, but also you can tint, tone, and shade them to make even more colors. And colors have groups that harmonize together, which are analogous colors, which are any three colors next to one another on the color wheel. Complementary colors, which are two colors that are opposite each other on the color wheel. And triadic are a combo of three colors evenly split in thirds, so like bam, 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 right there. And next we have texture. And texture is the tactile quality of a surface that applies to a real object or it can be created on 2D objects by illusion. So actual texture is texture on objects that you can actually physically touch. So like that rope, you could actually grab that rope and feel the texture of it. But implied texture, like if you're doing an illustration, you're going to, my PC is running low, great. You're going to need to trick the eye by using pattern, shape, line, and value to create that sense of texture on a flat surface. And the last one is value, which refers to the light and dark tones of an object. Value is usually referred to in a 9-step grayscale used to determine what is considered light and dark. And it's broken up into three categories. 1 through 3 are highlights, 4, 6 are midtones, and 7 through 9 are shadows. You can see there 1 to 9, it goes light to dark. And contrast is the placement of highlight, darks, and midtones next to each other in an illustration or photo to give you kind of like the scale of contrast on that photo or illustration. And black and white and values of gray are what give the perception of color in black and white photos or images. So like blue is a lot like lighter color, like the shade of blue in that sky is probably like really light. So it's a really light value of gray, almost white. But the grass or mud or whatever that is down there, those rocks down there by the lighthouse, those are really dark values. So it's a dark color, probably close to gray, brown, or black. So it probably is rocks down there. But those are the 7 principles or 7 elements of design. And thank you.